Anna sat on a small wooden stool outside her mother's tiny house, staring at the dusty ground, her thoughts racing. Her mother's health was worsening, and the doctor had said she needed immediate treatment. But how could Anna pay for it? The hospital bill was $500,000, and even if she saved every coin from selling vegetables at the market, it would never be enough. Finally, she decided to ask her father, Tom, for help. But that meant facing her stepmother, Linda, and her stepsister, Lucy. Linda had always made her and her mother feel like outsiders, while Lucy lived a life of comfort and luxury. Unlike Anna, who grew up in the countryside with her hard-working mother, Lucy grew up pampered, never knowing what it was like to struggle for anything. When Anna arrived at her father's big house, she hesitated at the gate, her heart pounding. As she walked in, she heard Linda's sharp voice echoing from inside. "Anna, what do you want here? You come to beg for more money as usual?" Linda's voice was cold, her eyes narrowing as she saw Anna step inside. "Please, Linda," Anna said softly, trying to hide the hurt in her voice. "I need to speak with Dad. My mother is very sick, and we need help paying for her treatment." Her father, Tom, entered the room just then. He looked at Anna with sad eyes, and she could tell he wanted to help. But before he could say anything, Linda interrupted. "Money?" Linda's voice was mocking. "You and your mother think we're made of money. You have no shame coming here and begging." Anna tried to hold her ground. "Please, I'll pay it back. My mother's health is getting worse every day. I'll do anything," she said, her voice barely a whisper. At that, Linda's expression changed, her eyes narrowing thoughtfully. She turned to her daughter, Lucy, who had just entered the room, lazily scrolling on her phone. Lucy smirked as she heard Anna's plea. She was dressed in a fancy outfit, ready to meet her friends for a night out. Lucy had always lived a life of luxury, with no responsibilities other than keeping up with the latest fashion and parties. Unlike Anna, who wore simple clothes and knew the struggles of life, Lucy had no worries in the world. "Anything," Linda repeated, a strange look crossing her face. She exchanged a quick glance with Lucy, who raised an eyebrow and gave a careless shrug. Lucy spoke up, her tone mocking. "You know, Anna, there's someone you could marry who would solve all your problems. How about Ben?" Anna's eyes widened in surprise. "Ben? But wasn't he supposed to be engaged to you?" Lucy rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. I'm not marrying that good-for-nothing loser. He's nothing but trouble. He's not even a real member of that family. They only took him in out of pity. And he has a reputation, you know, a thug, no job, no future. I'm not ruining my life for him." Linda nodded in agreement, a small smile tugging at her lips. "Lucy is right. Ben may come from a wealthy family, but he's an illegitimate son and a waste of space. They want him married off to someone responsible, someone who would keep him in line. He would ruin Lucy's life, but he could be useful to you, Anna." Anna felt a knot forming in her stomach. Marry Ben? The same Ben who everyone whispered about in town, the one who was known for his fights and reckless behavior. But before she could respond, Linda continued. "Marry Ben, and we'll give you the money for your mother's treatment," Linda said, her voice cold but her eyes shining with satisfaction. "If you don't, then leave and don't come back asking for anything." Anna turned to her father, hoping he would say something to help, but he looked down, avoiding her gaze. She felt her heart sink. They were all leaving her with no choice. She had come here for help, but now they were pushing her into something she had never even considered. "All right," Anna said, her voice shaky but determined. "I'll marry him." Linda's face lit up with a sly smile. She glanced at Lucy, who just smirked as if the situation were no more than an entertaining game to her. Lucy picked up her bag, ready to leave for her night out as if nothing important had just happened. "Well, that's settled," Linda said, sounding pleased. "We'll take care of the arrangements. You'll be married to Ben, and you'll get the money you need." As Anna left her father's house, her heart felt heavy. Her life had just taken an unexpected turn, and she had no idea what lay ahead. But she told herself she had to do this if it meant her mother would get the help she needed. She would find a way to get through it. Ben stepped out of the police station, stretching his arms after spending the night in a cell. He had been arrested after a fight that broke out at a bar the night before. This wasn't unusual for him. People expected trouble whenever Ben was around. But today, he felt different, almost amused. He knew that everything was going according to his plan. His assistant, Jake, was waiting for him outside, standing next to a sleek black luxury car. As Ben approached, Jake opened the door for him. "Everything went smoothly?" Ben asked as he settled into the passenger seat. "Yes, sir," Jake replied with a slight nod. "Everything is going according to plan." Ben smirked, a satisfied look crossing his face as they drove off into the town. Today was his wedding day, a small but necessary step in the larger scheme he had in mind. The next day, Anna stood nervously at the altar in the modest little hall where the ceremony was taking place. There were only a few guests, mainly distant relatives and curious onlookers from town. Anna's heart raced as she waited, glancing at the door, hoping Ben would arrive soon. Her stepsister Lucy took this as her chance to swoop in, smirking as she approached Anna. "Well, look at you standing here like some fairy tale bride," Lucy sneered, her eyes gleaming with mischief. "Marrying Ben, the illegitimate son. You know they only took him in out of pity, right?" Anna held her breath, trying not to let Lucy's words affect her, but her stepsister went on, clearly enjoying herself. "I mean, he's not even rich. He has no real support from the family, and he's late. What a start to your lovely marriage," she laughed. Anna's cheeks turned red, and she lowered her gaze, feeling out of place. Behind her, she could hear some of the guests whispering. Is she really getting married to Ben, the troublemaker and illegitimate son of the Johnson family? Yes, I heard he's always getting into fights. Such a pity. His family doesn't even acknowledge him, another guest added. Just as Anna began to feel completely overwhelmed, the doors swung open and Ben walked in. The entire room fell silent. He wore a simple but well-tailored black suit, and his confident stride drew every eye. His dark hair, strong jawline, and piercing gaze made him look both dangerous and undeniably captivating, and Anna couldn't help but stare. Ben walked up to Anna and gave her a slight, polite smile. "Hello," he said in a deep, calm voice. "I'm Ben. I guess we're about to get married." Anna looked up at him, surprised by his presence. She hadn't expected him to look this handsome, and the rumors about him seemed to fade from her mind for a moment. "I have to admit," Ben continued, glancing briefly at Lucy, who stood off to the side with a pout. "I was under the impression I was marrying your sister." Anna managed a small smile, feeling slightly more at ease. "I'm the older one, but my parents divorced when I was little. I grew up with my mom. Does it disappoint you that you're not marrying a rich heiress?" Ben raised an eyebrow and smirked, a glint of humor in his eyes. "I could ask you the same," he replied. "You probably heard enough about me to know what I'm worth or not worth." She looked down, unsure of how to answer, but then she met his gaze and nodded. "I did. But I'm here anyway." With that, they exchanged vows in a brief ceremony. There were no grand gestures or speeches, only simple words that bound them together. When it was over, Anna felt a strange mix of relief and nervousness as they prepared to go home. As they left the wedding hall, Ben escorted Anna to a modest house on the edge of town. The house was cozy with a small garden in front. Inside, it was simple and neat, with just enough space for the two of them. "This is our home now," Ben said, gesturing around the room. "It's not a mansion, but it's enough." Anna nodded, looking around, unsure of what to say. The place felt unfamiliar but warm, and she could tell it had been kept in good condition. As she set down her small bag, Ben turned to her, his face serious. "Listen, Anna," he said, his tone calm but firm. "I think it's only fair to be clear from the start. This marriage, it's just an arrangement. We'll be a couple in name only." Anna blinked, taking in his words. She had known this wasn't going to be a real marriage, but hearing him say it out loud still stung a bit. "I have no interest in romance, and I don't expect anything from you. But I do ask for one thing," Ben continued, looking her directly in the eye. "While we're married, please don't bring any trouble or scandal. No affairs, no rumors. Keep things simple. Anna nodded slowly, understanding his point. Of course, she replied quietly. Satisfied, Ben gave a small nod and continued. As for why I'm doing this, let's just say there's something I need. My mother left me a trust fund, but I can't access it until I'm married. So here we are. Anna looked at him, surprised at his honesty. So, you're doing this for the money? Ben shrugged. It's more complicated than that, but yes, that's part of it. Anna thought about his words and felt a strange sense of relief. At least he was honest. She knew now that their marriage was a business deal, not a love story. And that was fine with her. Ben turned toward the small staircase leading to the bedrooms. Make yourself at home, he said, his tone neutral. We'll figure out the rest as we go. As he left, Anna looked around the room, realizing that this house would be her new world for the foreseeable future. It wasn't what she had imagined for her life, but somehow it felt like the right place to start a new chapter. The next morning, Anna woke up early, feeling a mix of nerves and determination. She didn't know much about Ben yet, but she wanted to make a good impression. So, she went to the small kitchen and started cooking breakfast. She found some eggs, bread, and a few vegetables in the fridge and set to work, hoping he would appreciate the effort. When Ben walked in, dressed casually but neatly, he looked surprised to see Anna already at the table, laying out breakfast. Good morning, Anna said, smiling shyly. Ben nodded, taking a seat. Morning. She served him a plate, and he picked up his fork, taking a cautious first bite. To her surprise, he looked up after a moment, his expression softening as he tasted the food. This is good, he said, sounding almost impressed. Anna felt a warmth spread in her chest. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. They ate in comfortable silence, and when they were done, Anna cleared the dishes. Just as she was about to leave the room, she turned to Ben. I'm going to return my wedding dress, she said, picking up her bag. Ben frowned slightly. Return it? Didn't your father buy it for you, but he is rich? Anna hesitated, unsure how much to say. No, things aren't always that simple, she replied softly, her gaze dropping. I had to rent it. Ben's eyes narrowed slightly, but he didn't press further. He simply nodded, watching her as she left the house. Once she was gone, Ben took out his phone and dialed a number. When his assistant Jake picked up, Ben's voice was low but firm. I want you to find out everything there is to know about my new bride. Where she came from, her family, how her family treats her. Everything. Anna made her way to the luxury store in town, hoping to quietly return the dress and leave. She wasn't used to such fancy places, and her plain clothes made her feel out of place among the glittering displays and expensive items. But she told herself it would be quick, just in and out. As she approached the counter with the dress, a young salesgirl looked her up and down, her nose wrinkling in slight disgust. Oh, it's you again, the salesgirl said, crossing her arms. You're returning the dress? I hope it's still in good condition. Yes, Anna said quietly, placing the dress on the counter. It's in perfect condition. The salesgirl sneered. You know, if you can't afford nice things, maybe you should stick to where you belong. This store isn't exactly meant for people like you. Anna's cheeks flushed with embarrassment. She was about to respond when a familiar voice interrupted. That's enough. Ben's voice cut through the tension as he stepped forward, looking sharply at the salesgirl. The girl looked startled, her face paling slightly. Oh, sir, I didn't know she was with you. Ignoring her, Ben turned to Anna. I was in the area and thought I'd stop by. So, returning the dress? He asked, his tone softer now. Yes, Anna replied, feeling a mixture of relief and surprise. Ben gave her a small smile, then turned to the salesgirl. I'd like to see the best shoes and jewelry you have here. Something elegant. The salesgirl nodded quickly, disappearing into the back room to retrieve a few items. Within minutes, she returned with a pair of elegant high heels and a sparkling necklace. Anna looked at the price tags and her eyes widened. Ben, that's way too much. I can't accept this. You don't have to spend so much. I know you're not that rich yourself. But Ben simply shook his head. It's fine. Besides, you're my wife. Don't worry about the money. Anna hesitated, but his calm expression made it hard to refuse. Finally, she accepted the items, feeling both grateful and a bit overwhelmed. Thank you, she said softly, holding the box containing the shoes and the necklace. Ben smiled slightly. You're welcome. Now let's head home. As they left the store together, Anna couldn't help but feel that her life had taken yet another unexpected turn. Ben was still a mystery, but in moments like this, he seemed to show a different side, one she hadn't expected to see. As Anna and Ben returned home that evening, she quietly set her new shoes and necklace aside. She turned to Ben, a grateful but concerned look on her face. Ben, I really appreciate the gifts, she began softly. They're beautiful, and no one's ever bought me anything like this before. But maybe it's best if you don't spend too much. I know neither of us has a lot of money, and I don't want to make things harder for you. Ben raised an eyebrow, his usual confident expression softened by a faint smile. You don't have to worry about that, he replied. I know what I'm doing. Anna hesitated, then continued. Even so, I'm planning to get a job soon. I want to help, not just leech off what little you have. Hearing this, Ben chuckled lightly. You know, most people would just take the gifts and not say anything, he said, sounding impressed. But you're different. You've got a good heart. Anna smiled, feeling a warmth in his words. She hadn't expected this from him, but there was something in his tone that made her feel understood. The next morning, Anna was busy tidying up the house when her phone rang. It was a call from the hospital. Her heart dropped as she listened to the nurse on the other end, telling her that her mother's medical bills were still unpaid. She'd trusted her father and stepmother to cover the costs, as they had promised, but now it was clear they hadn't kept their word. Feeling a mix of frustration and worry, Anna made her way back to her father's house, determined to find out what had gone wrong. When she entered, the first person she saw was Lucy, flaunting a new designer handbag and wearing expensive shoes. Her face lit up with a smug smile as she noticed Anna's arrival. Nice to see you, Anna, Lucy said, patting her new handbag. Look what Dad just got me. Isn't it gorgeous? Anna swallowed her irritation and tried to keep her voice calm. Where's Dad? I need to talk to him. Lucy shrugged, too busy admiring herself in a nearby mirror to pay much attention. Before Anna could ask again, her stepmother, Linda, walked into the room, her face hardening as soon as she saw Anna. What do you want now? Linda snapped, her eyes narrowing. I just came to ask why my mother's medical bill hasn't been paid, Anna replied, her voice tight with frustration. I agreed to marry Ben so that you'd help my mother. That was the deal. But now, instead of paying her bills, you're buying Lucy new things. Linda scoffed, folding her arms. Your father is out working hard to make a living. Don't come here disturbing us with your problems, she said coldly. Anna clenched her fists, fighting back the anger rising in her chest. It's not fair, she said, her voice shaking. I kept my end of the bargain. I married Ben, just like you wanted. But you're failing to keep yours. Instead, Lucy is getting all these new things while my mother is suffering. At that, Linda's expression turned dark, and she took a step forward, her eyes blazing with anger. How dare you come into my house and accuse us, she hissed. You're just jealous because Lucy has what you don't. Now get out! Before Anna could respond, Linda raised her hand and slapped her across the face, hard, shocked and hurt. Anna felt her eyes fill with tears as she stumbled back. Without another word, she turned and left, feeling humiliated and defeated. When Anna returned to Ben's house, she tried to hold herself together, but her emotions were written all over her face. She went straight to her room, hoping to avoid questions. But as she passed by the living room, Ben noticed the faint red mark on her cheek. He frowned, his eyes narrowing in concern. Anna, what happened? He asked, stepping closer to get a better look at her face. It's nothing, Anna mumbled, turning her head away. Ben studied her closely, unconvinced. That doesn't look like nothing, he said softly, his tone serious. Did someone hurt you? Anna shook her head, trying to force a smile. It's fine, really, just Something with my family. Ben's jaw tightened slightly, and he nodded, but he didn't look away. If you need anything, he said quietly, or if there's something I can do, let me know. Anna glanced up at him, surprised by the gentleness in his voice. She managed a small, grateful smile, then nodded and excused herself, heading to her room. Early the next morning, Anna's phone buzzed, breaking the quiet of her room. She picked it up and saw that it was a call from her best friend Sarah. She answered quickly, her voice sleepy but hopeful. Anna, I have amazing news. Sarah's voice was full of excitement. I managed to get you an interview at B&A Limited. It's a big company with good pay and I know you'll do well there. Anna's eyes widened in surprise. B&A Limited was one of the most well-known companies in the city, and the chance to work there could make a huge difference in her life. Sarah, thank you so much. I can't believe you did this for me, she said, feeling a surge of gratitude. Anything for you, Anna, Sarah replied. But just a heads up, remember your old toaster from university, Mike? He works there now and he's with Julia. Anna sighed, a sense of dread settling in. Julia was a girl from her university days who always seemed to compete with her over everything, big or small, and now they'd cross paths at her interview. Of course, Julia, Anna said with a sigh. I'm in for it, aren't I? Just keep your head up, Sarah encouraged. You've got this. Feeling a mixture of excitement and nerves, Anna quickly got ready, putting on the nicest outfit she had. As she hurried downstairs, she saw Ben in the kitchen, looking over some papers. He glanced up as she grabbed her bag. Heading somewhere? He asked, raising an eyebrow. I have a job interview at B&A Limited, she replied, trying to sound casual. Ben gave a slight nod, his expression unreadable, but then he surprised her with a warm smile. Good luck, Anna. I know you'll do well. His words gave her a little extra boost of confidence as she headed out. When Anna arrived at B&A Limited, she was directed to the office where her interview would take place. She was hopeful until she saw Julia, who was standing at the reception desk, chatting and laughing with a few colleagues. Julia spotted Anna and raised an eyebrow, a smirk spreading across her face. Well, well, look who's here. Anna, of all people. I heard you married the... What do they call him? The ejected son of the Johnson family, she said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. Anna clenched her fists, keeping her composure as best as she could. She didn't want to let Julia's words get to her, especially now, but it was hard not to feel embarrassed under her gaze. Oh, by the way, Julia continued, flaunting her ring, Mike and I just got engaged. He's doing so well here and we're planning the wedding already. I'm sure you'll find a way to get by too, somehow. Anna forced a polite smile. Congratulations, Julia. I'm happy for you. The interview itself was difficult, and she could feel Julia's condescending glances the entire time. By the end of the day, Anna felt drained. She knew the interview hadn't gone well, and she couldn't shake the feeling that Julia had done her best to make her feel small. Later that evening, Anna met up with Sarah at a small bar near her home. They sat across from each other, and Anna sighed, finally allowing herself to vent. So, the interview was rough, Anna admitted, taking a sip of her drink. Julia was there, and she didn't miss a chance to flaunt her engagement or remind me that I'm now married to someone with a reputation. Sarah gave her a sympathetic look. I'm so sorry, Anna. Julia never could resist rubbing things in, could she? Anna shook her head, smiling a little. No, but that's not even the worst of it. I'm still worried about my mum's hospital bills. The hospital called me again this morning and they're starting to sound impatient. Without hesitation, Sarah reached into her bag and handed Anna a small amount of money. It's not much, but it's all I can give right now, she said gently. And, do you have anything of value? Something you could sell? Anna thought for a moment, her mind going to the necklace Ben had bought her. It was beautiful and valuable, and while she didn't want to part with it, she knew her mother's health was more important. She nodded slowly. Thank you, Sarah, she said, pocketing the money. I think I have something I can sell. After saying goodbye to Sarah, Anna headed back to Ben's house, her mind already made up. She would pawn the necklace and use the money for her mother's treatment. When she arrived home, she quickly grabbed the necklace, not noticing that Ben and his assistant Jake had just parked outside. She slipped the necklace into her bag and hurried out, not wanting to waste any time. As Ben got out of the car, he noticed Anna rushing down the driveway, looking determined but distracted. He frowned, watching her for a moment before speaking quietly to Jake. "Follow her," he said, keeping his gaze on her retreating figure. Jake nodded, getting back into the car to tail Anna at a distance. Anna made her way to a pawn shop, hoping to get enough for the necklace. Ben followed her discreetly, curiosity and concern building as he realized where she was headed. He parked nearby, watching as she hesitated in front of the shop, clutching her bag tightly. Ben's eyes narrowed. He hadn't expected this. His mind raced as he tried to understand why she would be at a pawn shop and what she planned to sell. And as he waited, watching her from the shadows, he knew he would have to find out exactly what was going on. And soon. Anna walked up to the pawn shop, clutching the necklace tightly in her hand. She paused outside the door, staring at the beautiful pendant Ben had given her. It sparkled in the light, a reminder of the unexpected kindness he had shown her. She took a deep breath and tried to steady herself. She needed the money, and her mother's health was more important than any piece of jewelry. But as she stood there, something inside her hesitated. This necklace had been a gift, something she hadn't expected and hadn't asked for. Yet it meant something to her. Selling it felt wrong, like she was betraying the small, fragile bond they had begun to build. Slowly, she put the necklace back into her bag and turned away from the pawn shop. "I'll find another way," she murmured to herself as she started walking home. As she walked down a quiet street, a group of rough-looking men stepped out from the shadows, blocking her path. Anna's heart pounded as she glanced around, realizing she was alone. "Well, look what we have here," one of the men sneered, taking a step toward her. Anna tried to back away, but another man appeared behind her, cutting off her escape. Panic filled her mind, and she clutched her bag tightly, hoping they would leave her alone. Just then, a familiar figure emerged from the shadows. Ben strode forward, his expression cold and fierce as he faced the men. "Leave her alone," he said, his voice steady but laced with a quiet anger. The men looked at each other, sizing him up, but Ben didn't hesitate. He stepped between them and Anna, his fists clenched. A brief scuffle followed, but Ben fought them off, and within moments the men scattered, disappearing into the night. Once they were alone, Ben turned to Anna. His gaze softened with concern. "Are you all right?" Anna nodded, still shaken. "Yes, thank you." They rode home in silence, neither of them speaking, the tension heavy between them. When they finally arrived back at the house, Anna was the first to break the silence. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I was going to pawn the necklace, but I changed my mind. I didn't mean to. I just didn't know what else to do. Please don't be angry." Ben shook his head, a serious expression on his face. "That's not why I'm angry," he said quietly. "I'm angry that you needed money and didn't tell me. I'm your husband, Anna. You should have come to me." Anna looked away, hurt and frustration bubbling up. "But you're the one who said we'd be husband and wife in name only," she reminded him, her voice trembling. "I didn't want to involve you in my problems, and I didn't plan this. I married you because I was desperate. My mother needs help and my family, they promised to support us if I agreed to marry you, but they went back on their word." Ben listened silently as she continued, her emotions pouring out. "I tried to find a job, but it only ended in humiliation," she said, tears slipping down her cheeks. "They made me feel like I was nothing. I didn't want to rely on you. I wanted to handle it on my own, but I failed." Her words moved him, and before he knew it, he stepped closer, gently cupping her face in his hands. He wiped away her tears, his eyes filled with understanding and empathy. Without another word, he leaned in, and their lips met in a tender, passionate kiss. It was a moment of connection and comfort, something neither of them had expected but both had needed. When they finally pulled apart, Ben looked at her, his expression serious yet gentle. "From now on, you don't have to face this alone. I'm here, and I'll be your husband for real if you'll let me." Anna's heart swelled, and she nodded, her eyes shining with a mix of relief and gratitude. Ben took her hand. "I have an idea. Let's move to a bigger house, closer to the city. My friend is traveling and left his place for me to look after. It'll give us a fresh start." Anna smiled, feeling hopeful for the first time in a long time. She nodded, grateful for this unexpected turn in their lives, and together, they began a new chapter in their marriage. The next morning, Ben drove Anna to their new home. Anna's eyes widened in awe as they pulled up to the gates, which opened to reveal a beautiful, sprawling house with large windows, balconies, and a perfectly manicured garden. She had never imagined living in a place like this. This is incredible," she said, taking in the sight with wide eyes. Ben smiled, watching her reaction. "My friend asked me to look after it while he's traveling abroad. He's a rich trust fund kid with more houses than he knows what to do with." Anna nodded, still marveling at the architecture and the elegant interiors. "I promise to take good care of it. It's beautiful." Just then her phone rang, interrupting the moment. Anna glanced at the screen and saw it was the hospital. Her heart skipped a beat as she answered, hoping for good news. "Hello, Miss Anna?" the voice on the other end asked. "We're calling to inform you that your mother's medical bills have been fully paid. Thank you for arranging the payment." Anna's face lit up with relief and happiness. "Oh, thank you so much," she replied, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. The relief was overwhelming, and she felt like she could finally breathe again. After settling into the house, Anna decided to visit her father to thank him for helping with her mother's bills. She arrived at his house with a sense of gratitude, hoping to share a rare moment of kindness with him. But as she stepped inside, she was met by her stepmother, Linda, whose expression darkened the moment she saw Anna. "What do you want now?" Linda snapped, folding her arms. "I only came to say thank you," Anna replied, keeping her voice calm. "I wanted to thank you for helping with my mother's medical bills." Linda's face twisted with anger, and she turned on her husband Tom, who had just walked in. "So you went behind my back to pay her bills while we're struggling to keep this household together?" she accused, her voice rising with fury. Tom raised his hands in defense, looking genuinely confused. "Linda, I didn't pay anything. Our business has been facing setbacks, and I haven't had the funds to pay for anything lately. All my contracts have been getting rejected." A tense silence followed, and Anna felt a knot of confusion in her stomach. If her father hadn't paid, then who had? Without another word, she turned and left, feeling more puzzled than ever. Later that day, she met up with Sarah at a cozy cafe nearby, needing someone to talk to about everything that had happened. Over coffee, Anna shared her thoughts with her friend, explaining her relief but also her confusion over who could have paid the bill. "Maybe your dad is scared to admit it because of your stepmother," Sarah suggested thoughtfully. "But look, the important thing is, the bill is taken care of, and you don't have to worry about it anymore." Anna nodded, a smile of relief spreading across her face. "You're right. I just wish I knew who to thank. But thank goodness, at least it's paid." Sarah reached across the table, giving her a reassuring pat on the hand. "Don't worry about it too much. By the way, I've scheduled 3 more interviews for you. One of them might be the perfect fit." "Thank you, Sarah," Anna said, genuinely grateful. "I'll definitely go. But you know, B&A Limited is my dream company. They've grown so much in just 3 years, and the owner is this mysterious, low-key person. I was really hoping to work there, maybe even get to know the owner and learn a thing or two about business." Just as she said this, her phone buzzed. She checked her email and her eyes widened in surprise. It was a message from B&A Limited, confirming that she had been hired. She gasped, her face lighting up with joy. "Oh my gosh, Sarah, I got the job!" she exclaimed, unable to contain her excitement. Sarah jumped up, hugging her. "Congratulations, Anna, this is amazing!" That evening, Anna decided to celebrate. She prepared a hearty dinner, carefully setting the table with all of Ben's favorite dishes. When he arrived home, He looked pleasantly surprised to see the warm meal and the cozy setup. "I wanted to celebrate," Anna explained, smiling at him. "Everything's been going so well lately. I think you're my lucky charm, Ben. My life feels like it's finally falling into place." Ben smiled, a hint of warmth in his usually composed expression. They sat down to eat, sharing a comfortable meal and talking about their day. Afterward, they shared a dance in the soft glow of the dining room lights, moving slowly as they swayed to the music. At one point, Ben leaned in, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead, then her lips. They kissed deeply, and for a moment, it felt like nothing else in the world mattered. As they held each other close, Ben seemed on the verge of saying something important. But just as he was about to speak, Anna's eyes fluttered closed and she drifted off to sleep in his arms. Ben smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face as he held her. Whatever he had to say, he decided it could wait. For now, he was content just being there with her, in that quiet, perfect moment. Linda's suspicions continued to eat at her after Anna had come by to thank her father for covering her mother's medical bills. Linda was certain Tom had paid the bill behind her back, even though he claimed otherwise. Finally, she decided to get to the bottom of it and asked Lucy to help. "Lucy," Linda began, her eyes narrowed with determination. "I want you to ask B.I. boyfriend of yours to find out exactly who paid for that hospital bill. I need to know if your father is lying to me." Lucy was intrigued, and within days, B.I. friend delivered the answer. The bill had been paid by a man named Ben Adams, the CEO of B&A Limited. Lucy was stunned. Wasn't Ben the same person Anna had recently married? If he was a wealthy CEO, why was he living modestly and keeping a low profile? No, he has to be another person. His surname is Adams. So many people go by the first name Ben, but more importantly, why had he paid for Anna's mother's medical? Curiosity and suspicion pushed her to go to Ben's office at B&A Limited. She entered the grand lobby, but her attempts to see him were thwarted by the receptionist, who informed her that Mr. Adams was a high-profile individual and could only be seen with a scheduled appointment. Not willing to give up, Lucy decided to wait in the underground parking lot. She figured that if she stayed hidden, she might get the chance to confront him directly and finally find out what was going on. Meanwhile, inside the office, Anna was adjusting to her new job. While excited to prove herself, she quickly ran into trouble with Julia, who was still bitter over Anna getting the job despite her disapproval. Determined to make things difficult for Anna, Julia devised a plan to set her up, hoping to get her into trouble with the higher-ups. Anna sensed Julia's animosity and stayed cautious, especially during their interactions. When Julia tried to sabotage her during a team meeting, Anna discreetly recorded the encounter, capturing Julia's harsh words and underhanded tactics. When Julia's accusations fell flat, Anna calmly played the recording in front of the executive team, leaving no doubt about Julia's intentions. Furious, the CEO immediately fired Julia, who stormed out of the office, humiliated and defeated. As Julia made her way to the elevator, she ran into Ben, who was just arriving at the office. Not realizing that he was actually the CEO, Julia assumed he was another applicant and sneered at him. "What are you doing here?" she spat. "Good luck getting hired. They only want people with real connections, you know." Ben didn't reply, merely raising an eyebrow at her before turning away. Moments later, his assistant, who acted as the face of the company, came rushing after him, addressing him as boss. Lucy, still lurking in the parking lot, overheard their conversation from her hiding spot. She froze in shock as she realized that her stepbrother-in-law, the bastard son of the Johnson family who she had looked down upon for so long, was actually Ben Adams, the billionaire CEO of B&A Limited. The pieces of the puzzle fell into place, and she was left reeling with disbelief. Just as she thought she had heard everything, Ben and his assistant continued their conversation, unaware of her presence. "You're sure about telling her soon?" his assistant asked cautiously. "Yes," Ben replied with a quiet confidence. "Anna deserves to know everything. I want to come clean and show her who I really am. I didn't expect this, but I've fallen in love with her, and I can't keep pretending. I will tell her everything on Friday at the company's 3rd anniversary." Lucy's heart raced as she listened. Not only was Ben secretly a billionaire, but he intended to reveal his identity to Anna soon because he had fallen in love with her. Shocked and filled with a sudden sense of regret, Lucy could barely process what she had just witnessed. She realized she had underestimated Ben entirely, and now the weight of her assumptions and dismissive attitude settled heavily upon her. Lucy rushed home, her mind buzzing with the shocking discovery she had made. She could barely wait to tell her mother everything she had overheard. As soon as she stepped into the house, she found Linda in the living room, her eyes narrowing with curiosity as she noticed Lucy's excitement. "Mom, you're not going to believe this," Lucy began, sitting down beside her mother. "Ben isn't who we thought he was. He's the CEO of B&A Limited, the one everyone talks about. He's not some poor, rejected son. He's a billionaire. And what's more, he's fallen in love with Anna and plans to reveal his true identity to her." Linda's eyes widened with interest, and a sly smile slowly spread across her face. "So Anna's been living with a billionaire without even knowing it? Well, that changes things." Lucy nodded eagerly. "We can't let her have him, Mom. Not without a fight." Linda leaned back, her eyes glinting with calculation. "Then we'll have to be smart about this. If Ben is as wealthy as we think, he's our golden ticket. We need to make him ours, yours to be precise, before Anna finds out the truth." Lucy smiled, understanding her mother's intentions. Together, they began to plot how to use this new information to their advantage, determined to separate Anna and Ben. Meanwhile, back at Ben's house, Anna was busy preparing for her company's anniversary celebration, an important event that she wanted to make a good impression. She stood in her room, looking over several outfits, unsure of which one to choose. "Ben, could you help me pick one?" she called. Ben entered, raising an eyebrow as he looked over the options. "Why don't you try them all?" he suggested, a mischievous smile on his face. Anna laughed, but decided to go along with his idea. She tried on each outfit, twirling playfully as Ben watched, clearly enjoying the sight. Finally, as she stood in front of him in a stunning, elegant dress, he pulled her close, his hands resting on her waist. "You look perfect," he whispered before leaning in to kiss her. Their kiss deepened, and both of them lost in the moment, until they eventually broke apart, smiling. That evening, Ben had a secret meeting with some shareholders. It was an important night, as he was finalizing his takeover of the Johnson family business. After much negotiation, he finally succeeded, gaining full control. The moment was bittersweet. He had achieved something he had worked toward for years, but all he could think about was rushing home to tell Anna the truth. Just as he was heading back, his phone rang. It was Lucy. "Ben, we need to talk," she said, her voice sharp and insistent. "If you don't meet me right now, I'll tell Anna everything." Ben's jaw tightened. He couldn't risk Lucy causing a scene and hurting Anna with half-truths before he had the chance to tell her himself. Reluctantly, he agreed, heading to the location Lucy had specified. It was a tense meeting, with Lucy implying that she could either help him or destroy his relationship with Anna, depending on his cooperation. By the time he returned home early the next morning, he was exhausted but determined to finally be honest with Anna. But as he entered, he found her standing by the door with her bags packed, her face pale and eyes filled with hurt. "Anna?" he began, confused. "What's going on?" Without a word, Anna handed him a set of photos, her hands shaking slightly. Ben looked down and saw himself in several compromising positions with Lucy. The images were blurry, but they clearly looked incriminating. "My stepmother showed these to me. She was her earlier," Anna said, her voice barely above a whisper. "She claimed that you're in love with Lucy, not me." "Anna, that's not true," Ben said, feeling a surge of panic. "Lucy drugged my drink and set me up. I would never betray you like that." Anna's expression softened slightly and she nodded. "I know it was a setup, Ben. I know you were drugged. But that's not what hurts the most," she replied, her voice breaking. "What hurts is that you kept your true identity from me. You let me think you were someone else, while my family manipulated and hurt me. You didn't protect me from any of it." Ben stepped closer, desperation in his eyes. "Anna, I was going to tell you everything. I just needed the right moment. I love you, and I didn't want you to think I was keeping secrets to hurt you. I wanted to be with you as just Ben, not as the CEO of some company." But Anna shook her head, her eyes filling with tears. "You let me walk blindly into situations where I was humiliated, mocked, and taken advantage of by my own family. And you could have prevented it all if you'd just been honest with me. Thank you for paying my mom's medical bill." She picked up her bags, her expression hardening. "I need some time to think about everything. I don't know if I can trust you right now." "Anna, please don't go," Ben pleaded, reaching out to her. "I'll do anything to make this right. Just give me a chance." But Anna didn't respond. She turned and walked out the door, leaving Ben standing alone, his heart breaking as he watched her leave. After leaving Ben's house, Anna went straight to the hospital to visit her mother. Her heart was heavy, torn between the disappointment she felt and the memories of the life she had built with Ben. She was lost in thought as she entered her mother's room, and her mother noticed immediately. "Anna, dear, what's bothering you?" her mother asked gently, reaching out to take her hand. Anna managed a small smile, squeezing her mother's hand. "It's Ben. There's so much I didn't know about him, and now I don't know if I can trust him." Her mother nodded thoughtfully. "You know, he came to visit me in the hospital," she said softly. "He told me he would take care of you, but he needed to finish some things first. I could see he was carrying a heavy burden. He's been through a lot, Anna." Anna looked at her mother, surprised. "He came here? He never told me." Just then, the television in the room caught their attention. A breaking news report flashed on the screen, announcing that Ben Adams had officially become the largest shareholder in the Johnson family business. Anna's eyes widened in shock as the reporter described how he had worked tirelessly to grow his company, B&A Limited, and how he had now taken over his estranged family's business, securing his place as one of the most influential businessmen in the country. Her mother continued, her voice gentle. "Ben's had a difficult life, Anna. He was cast out by his family, looked down on for being the bastard son. But despite that, he built his mother's company from scratch. He grew Ben and Adams Limited to what it is today, all on his own. And now he's taken over the family business, even though they never supported him." Anna listened quietly, feeling a mixture of surprise and admiration. She hadn't realized just how much Ben had gone through. Hearing her mother's words softened her heart, and for the first time since she had left, she found herself wanting to see him again. "I think you should give him a chance, Anna," her mother said gently. "He truly cares for you. I could see it in his eyes when he was here." Taking her mother's advice to heart, Anna decided to reach out to Ben. She called him and asked to meet up, explaining that she was already packing to leave town. She wanted to see him one last time before making any decisions about her future. Meanwhile, at her father's house, things had taken a turn for the worse. Tom's business had completely collapsed, and debt collectors had come to seize their remaining possessions. Their extravagant spending had buried them in debt, and with his failing company unable to bring in any new income, they were facing bankruptcy. Linda and Lucy watched helplessly as their belongings were taken away, realizing that they were now left with nothing. Their dreams of wealth and comfort had shattered, and all they had left were the regrets of missed opportunities and broken promises. Back in the city, Ben arrived at the meeting spot where Anna was waiting. She looked uncertain as he approached, but there was a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "Anna," Ben began, "there's so much I want to tell you, and I don't know where to start." Anna nodded, waiting for him to continue. He took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "When I married you, it was all part of a plan. I needed to meet certain requirements to access my trust fund and take over my family's business. I thought it would be simple, just a business arrangement. But somewhere along the way, I fell in love with you, and that was never part of my plan." He looked at her, his eyes pleading. "I wanted to tell you everything so many times, but I didn't know how. I was afraid you wouldn't see me the same way once you knew. But I see now that I should have trusted you, and I'm sorry for not being honest from the beginning." Anna felt a tear slip down her cheek, but she quickly brushed it away. "Ben, all I wanted was for you to be honest with me. I never cared about who you were or how much money you had. I just wanted you." Ben stepped closer, taking her hands in his. "Then let me make things right. I don't want a marriage of convenience. I want us to be together for real. Will you marry me again, Anna? Properly this time. Let's start over." Anna looked up at him, her heart swelling with hope and happiness. "Yes," she whispered, wrapping her arms around him. "Yes, I will." They embraced, holding each other tightly, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. As they pulled apart, Ben smiled, a look of pure relief and joy in his eyes. "This time it'll be different. We'll build a future together, and I promise I'll always be honest with you from now on." Anna smiled, feeling a newfound confidence and peace in her heart. They were ready to face whatever the future held, together.